Hello guys, Sir Grandelot here. When it comes to character showcases in Genshin Impact, most of content creators and theory crafters will focus on characters at Constellation 0, using their signature weapon or a free-to-play friendly weapon. And I find this approach to be very reasonable, because in order to correctly evaluate a character, we need a baseline to use and judge all characters. It also makes sure that new characters will be usable at Constellation 0, and not be complete garbage unless extra constellations are unlocked. This approach has one major issue though. Constellations do exist. We cannot pretend that all the constellations from 1 to 6 are not there just because they're a bit harder to get. Many people assume that high constellations characters are whale-only territory, but the truth is that with a good Primogem saving plan, it's not that hard to get a goal of getting Constellation 2 or more for a specific character, while also occasionally pulling for others. We usually get around 10,000 Primogems each patch for free-to-play players, sometimes 9,000, a bit more than 10,000. So as long as you stay away from the weapon banner, which is almost a scam, it doesn't take that long to save for a new character and guarantee it. All it takes is skipping a few banners, not falling for 4-star bait, not building PT, and plan your post accordingly. The problem now becomes, should you pull for more characters or for constellations? This is something that is often discussed, and there really isn't a clear-cut answer that will fit everyone. So I want to share with you my experience in Genshin Impact first. When I started playing, I used to pull on every banner to improve my roster. At that time I had many characters at Constellation 0, I lost some 50-50s, got some limited characters, got many 4-star characters. It gave me a lot of options when it came to team building. And then I started to do things a bit differently. Skip characters with a playstyle that I didn't like too much, or were not a good fit in my current teams, save my primos, spend all of them for characters that I really liked. And that's how I got Constellation for Raiden and Ayaka, the latter during her rerun. I didn't manage to get her on her original run. While at the same time I was giving up some new characters, of course. And when Sumeru was approaching, I decided to do something different. I saved my Primogems for several patches, and I eventually managed to get Constellation 6 Nahida. I streamed my pulls and I was very lucky, especially sniping her weapon immediately without going through the standard banner or the upper weapon that I didn't want. So streamer luck is real. And after several months of saving, I walked away with a Constellation 6 refinement Nahida. And so you can see that during my years in Genshin Impact, I challenged the gacha gods in very different ways, so which one was the correct one? I now believe that investing vertically rather than horizontally is what gives me more joy. For clarity, horizontal expansion is when you increase your roster of available characters just by adding more units, while vertical expansion means to increase constellations on your characters. I said that it gives me more joy because some people may be completionists at heart and prefer to have a large selection of characters. I now prefer to save my Primogems until a character that I really like shows up. And I know that liking is very subjective. It can be the playstyle, the design, the animations, the strength of the kit. And I'm currently playing characters like Dory and Candace, who many people consider borderline unusable, while I have no issues bringing them to the ABs and do full clears even in speedrun teams. Oh, but that is because you have a Constellation 6 Nahida. Oh snap! It looks like having well-invested characters can carry you hard enough to play weaker characters that you do enjoy playing. Who would have thought? I'm not saying you should always go for constellations, but it seems to me like there is this idea that having more characters at Constellation Zeros is always better than having higher constellation characters no matter what, and I disagree with that. This is not just due to the character's performance, but due to the character's usage. Let's say that after Sumeru was released, you fell in love with the new characters and pulled for them. Taneri? Got him. Sino? Got him. Oh wait, they don't work together that well. It's okay, second Abby's team. Nilo! Oh, she only wants Danger and Hydro in her team. Well, I got Taneri for her, Sino can stay by himself. Nahida, let's go with Sino. Scara dude? I've waited for that guy for years, so let's go. Wait, now I need to bench someone. Fine, let's be a deal for him. Ayato? Ayato works great in Hyperbloom teams with Nahida and... Wait, either Nero or Wanderer have to go to the bench then. Al-Haytham? You see where I'm going. There are some characters who can fit in a large variety of teams, like Nahida, Yela and Kazuha. And then there are some around whom you build your team. And the latter is often very easy to replace. Sometimes these kind of characters use exactly the same supports, off-field damage dealers, it's a copy-paste team. Unless, of course, you absolutely love that character, in which case you will not replace him. Now, riddle me this. The hardest content in the game is the 12th floor of the Abyss, right? Who is going to perform better? An account who have a few high constellation characters, or an account with 10 5-star characters, all at constellation 0, most of whom will not be played. In general, my pooling strategy right now is that if an on-field driver allows me to build a completely new team, or has an amazing design and gameplay, I may consider using my Primogems. But I'd rather use my resources for one of the 3 remaining team characters who are more versatile, can fit in different teams, and I know I will be playing for a long time rather than on-field driver number 29 who wants the same supports as everyone else. And I'm not saying that's the way to go, but as a fairly experienced Genshin Impact player, I can tell you that I have quite a few regrets, and most of them are about pulling characters that I ended up not playing very much. Either because I ended up finding them overhyped, like Venti, or really not enjoying their playstyle, like Eula. If you have the Welkin Moon thingy, the Battle Pass, and you do occasional primal refreshes, it's not a huge deal. But you are free to play, and you end up pulling for a character, only to regret it a few weeks or months down the line, you are going to feel bad. On the other hand, adding an extra constellation to your favorite character is never going to leave you upset. I 100% agree on the fact that characters should feel good at Constellation 0, but I also believe that you shouldn't worry about pulling for extra constellations for your favorite characters, or those that you play more often. Hu Tao's Constellation 1 makes her a joy to play. Yelan's Constellation 1 means you're not likely to have ER issues in most teams, and we all know how good Raiden's Constellation 2 is. Are they must-haves? No, of course not. Are they better than a new 5-star that you're going to play maybe for 3 weeks? Until the new shiny limited character arrives? I think so. Some people occasionally bring up the argument that Constellation 6 or in general high constellation characters remove any challenge in the game. Well, if you've been playing long enough, the game does not have much challenge to begin with. Even long before I managed to get Constellation 6 Nahida, the only way in which I found the Abyss to be challenging was by running 2 characters on each side of the 12th floor and still get full stars. And that's mostly because I don't enjoy playing Ganyu for extended periods of time, or I could solo some Abyss rotations with her. And it's not like I'm doing daily refreshes of Raisin, using Primogems to get cracked artifacts. I just use whatever Raisin I have daily, and over the course of time you get a nice stack of good artifacts that you can switch between your characters. We're now getting close to Yelan's first rerun, and some people originally skipped her because 5-star Shinchu. But those who pulled for her know how good she is in every area of the game, being it the Abyss, the exploration, events, domains, anything. And it's undeniable that her first constellation is really good. Her elemental skill hits like a truck, so using it twice provides a nice chunk of extra damage, as well as pretty much fixing any of her recharge issues. So would you rather have a Constellation 6 or Dia? How about Baizo? New and unknown characters? It's really hard to tell, although thank God for League's community as they help everyone to plan pools for the coming months. At the end of the day, the way you use your own Primogems is up to you. Don't let anyone teach you how to have fun. Do you have more fun having access to many different characters? Go for it. Do you want to play a power fantasy and have a Constellation 6 character who one-shots the universe? Do it. All that I can do is telling you both approaches have their pros and cons. And whatever path you decide to follow is not wrong per se, you just have to find what you enjoy doing the most. The open world of Genshin Impact can be explored using pretty much any combination of characters in the game, so don't make your pools based on Abyss meta, when the Abyss changes every few weeks in order to favor the characters that MiHoYo wants to sell. If you pull for a character because it's meta, and it allows you to get an extra star or 2, you are potentially using over 10,000 Primogems just to get a few hundred ones every 2 weeks. And if you end up replacing that character as one there is a new one that you like more, the only winner is MiHoYo's accounting team. It's not easy to play with few available characters, and it's also not easy to grab all the primals that you saved up for months and dump them all at once on one single banner. But always we remember that we are all in this together, so play the game in the way that gives you the most enjoyment, and don't look down on other players just because they don't have a Constellation 6 rated, or because they saved up for months and they got a Constellation 6 Alhaitham instead of pulling for several other characters. This is my last video before my Chinese New Year holiday, so Happy New Year of the Habit, and catch you when I'm back. The next stream should be on the 30th of January. Bye guys, take care.